the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar, has downplayed claims by the House of Representatives that terrorists carrying out attacks in the country possess superior weaponry compared to the Nigerian Armed Forces. The ministerial briefing in Abuja, the minister described such claims as untrue, insisting that the military is better equipped and motivated to tackle insurgency in the country. Well, our RISE chief correspondent, Ferdinand Duoha, was at the ministerial briefing, and he brings in this report.
The 7th ministerial briefing of the 2025 series has the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Environment presenting their scorecards, addressing the emergence of new terrorist groups springing up across the country and the recent spate of attacks in several geopolitical zones. The Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar, attributes it to the escalation of conflict in the Sahel. Abubakar says Nigeria cannot be assessed in isolation as the challenges in the Sahel, especially with the militarization of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso, increasing armed conflict within the region.
More could have happened, but for the support, for the help and the dedication of our armed men. If you know what is happening in Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso today, even in Chad, even 3 days ago, the whole, I think, this thing, camp just across the border in Cameroon was attacked by these people, and a lot of weapons taken, including an MRAP. So the situation around us, it is Google, find out how many military barracks and personnel were killed in Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso in the last 2 weeks alone, and in Chad. You will now understand what I'm talking about.
Reacting to claims by some members of the House of Representatives that terrorists carrying out attacks in the country possess superior weaponry compared to the Nigerian Armed Forces, the minister dismissed it as false.
What we saw up to today are normal small drones, civilian drones. They just tie bomb to it, improvise bomb, and just drop.
Giving a breakdown of the successes recorded since the start of the Bola Tinubu administration, Abubakar says more than 300 terrorist kingpins have been killed by the military. The statistics further shows that over 13,000 terrorists were neutralized, 9,821 hostages rescued, and over 124,000 terrorists surrendered. Also on ground to deliver his scorecard is the Minister of Environment, Malam Balarabe Lawal. He noted that the ministry has implemented strategic measures to curb unsustainable agricultural practices, excessive logging, and infrastructure deficits. Of interest is the plan to sell $186 million of green bonds in 2 offerings before the end of the year. The minister says Nigeria is seeking to fund an ambitious economic transformation plan.
But our own that will be done in the next 2 weeks is 50 billion. And this one will be directed mainly at afforestation, water security, and e-mobility in mass transportation, and also in trying to address the issue of clean energy.
The ministerial series are meant to showcase the achievements of the federal government in the build-up to the administration's 2nd anniversary.
I therefore call on my colleagues, or media professionals and editors, to be discerning in their reportage. We must deny these groups the undue publicity they crave. We must take them off the front pages and accurately report them as the criminals that they are.
Ferdinand Duoha, Arise News.
All right, this was a robust meeting, Dr. Abati. And you know, the Minister of Information there, he put out a series of tweets actually cautioning, the media professionals like us. And I'll read some of it before I come to you. Mohammed Idris wrote on Twitter, "The fight against insecurity is also a battle for the hearts and minds of our people. one that terrorist groups are actively exploiting through propaganda, especially on social media platforms. I therefore call on our media professionals and editors to be discerning in their reportage. Another tweet there he posted, he wrote, "We must deny terrorist groups the undue publicity they crave. We must take them off the front pages and accurately report them as the criminals they are, without glorifying their acts or giving credence to their false narratives. These are not freedom fighters. They are murderers, kidnappers, and destroyers, and they must be presented as such." Over to you.
Okay, I see the point that the Minister of Information is making, that, look, the media must not glorify criminality of any type. And it was specific. It was talking about the social media. The argument by the establishment has always been that, look, to ensure security in Nigeria requires the collaboration of everybody, including the media. So to the extent that he's talking about the responsibility of the media in promoting peace, I think he knows what he's talking about. Yes. It's a newspaper publisher himself, so he's one of us. He understands. So it's the Minister of Information talking to his colleagues. I cannot argue over that. The media also has a responsibility, to publish responsible news. But the only problem here is the social media, where you have all kinds of persons. Number two is that the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, should be commended for this regular ministerial briefing. It's important that the ministers who are managing our resources, who are, representing us, give us regular reports and, tell us what they are doing so that we have an idea of how government is performing. So that, again, is commendable. Now, to the point made by the Minister of Defense. Now, I said earlier that the Minister of Defense, you don't expect him to talk down the Nigerian military. As a rule, you will not find either the president or any high-ranking government official condemning the military. Because the truth of the matter is that, look, they are doing a lot. You may say, okay, the defense budget is so high and all that. But the minister made the point that what we're dealing with in the fight against terrorism is asymmetrical war, where your enemy has no uniform, you don't know the divisions, they can, come upon you at any time. To that extent, yeah, the military, they've been doing a lot in that regard. But what I don't agree with is the minister saying that you don't need a summit, a security summit. Why? It will be useful for other people to make inputs, and that's why the Senate wants to look into the matter. We are having escalation of terrorism, banditry, insurgency in Benue State, in Plateau State, also in Borno State. In fact, the governor of Borno State, Professor Zulum, had to cry out. The governor of Benue State, Father Hyacinth Alia, has been on this program, also to come and lament that, look, there is war against the people of his state. And then, where does the Minister of Defense, where does he live? Is he not aware of the escalation of the security situation in the country? Number two, he was also saying that the House of Reps is wrong and all of that. The job of the National Assembly is to look into all of these matters. You cannot stop them from discussing. You cannot stop them from making recommendations. Imagine a minister telling the National Assembly, you cannot have security summit, you cannot express an opinion. Now, it goes further to say that something is being done at Ajaokuta Steel to manufacture military equipment and all of that. No, we need a status report on Ajaokuta Steel. A comprehensive status report on Ajaokuta Steel. It's not enough for him to just say Ajaokuta Steel is working with Daikon. This same Ajaokuta Steel, that is one of the biggest embarrassments to this country in terms of government investment. So now that he says Ajaokuta Steel is functioning in part, we want to know how.
All right.
And since when?
Well, I think it's great that the ministerial briefing continues to hold. And
Yeah.
the takeaway I got from the Minister of Information was quite apt, the fact that we must not glorify these terrorists. They are terrorists. Well, all right.